What is good, guys? It's Ronald Kabang, also known as Youcapper from sportsmemo.com. Welcome to another episode of Let's Cap. We're gonna go through a few things here. We're gonna talk about the NBA yesterday, what we saw in both game sevens, a little look ahead to the conference finals, and then we're gonna cap. We got a free play on the Yankees game here, and then we're gonna maybe try to cap a game live. We'll see what the comments section has for games you guys want to see. We'll try to cap a game live and go that route. But yeah, first I want to introduce my guest. You seen Chris be capping on one of my shows last time, so no introduction needed there. Finesse, this is the first time you're on our show today. We want to talk about who you are as a capper and what's up with your capping process. What kind of capper you are. Obviously, these two guys have become really great friends of mine. I chat with these guys daily in the DMs. We chop it up about all things sports betting, all things sports, and not only just that, just life stuff in general. So I really appreciate these guys. Met these guys not too long ago, and obviously we vibe really well. So with that, Finesse, I want to talk to you a little bit. What kind of stuff do you like to bet on? What is your key sport that you want to bet on, that you bet on, and a little bit of your capping process?
Yeah, so I started the whole Twitter stuff, taking it really serious, starting in January. We still have football back then, so I was still kind of heavy on football, going into the playoffs and things like that. Primarily now, I'm basketball, I'm baseball. I'll dabble in the UFC here and there, but I love the sport so much. I'd rather just watch it instead of trying to cap it all the time. So yeah, really entrenched in the baseball right now. Really kicking it into gear with the baseball stuff. Obviously, basketball coming to an end, but yeah, I just love basketball, love baseball so much, and have been sports betting for as long as I can remember. Probably since I was like 16 or 17 years old. So, yeah, just about my capping process. I mean, it's I'm not really a prop guy. I'm trying to get into it more. There's just so much value in that market. Instead of always trying to pick sides. That's primarily what I do. When it was football, basketball now, and baseball, I'm usually picking sides, trying to target some totals and things like that. Um, but also trying to, attack markets that I find value in, whether it's in baseball, whether it's the nerfy market, strikeout props, total base props, stuff like that. Basketball, whether it's, team totals, early markets, first quarter, first half. So mainly that type of stuff, whatever I feel like is going to give me the most value. I always tell the people, I think trying to pick size consistently is one of the hardest things you can do. The
Yeah.
lines are so sharp, and just so much volatility in what goes on every day. So just continue to trying to get better and adapt and find a value where it is. So, but yeah, I appreciate you having me, Ronald. I'm a fan of everything you've done, since I've met you. So, this YouTube show is the obvious progression and the result of your hard work. So, I look for it to continue to grow and continue to just support any and everything that you do. So I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to talk about some games, and let's do it.
Yeah, for sure. And you talk about the value in these lines and picking sides and how hard it is, man. Especially in these playoffs, right? When it comes down to the nitty gritty, and there's only these few games to focus on, the books are as sharp as they come. So definitely looking into the props and things like that in the NBA playoffs is probably the best way that you can find a lot of value. And if you look, I mean, like just look in the chat here with Mitch mentioning Bam Adebayo assists plus rebounds at 11 and a half. I mean, that definitely looks low to me. I mean, just off the top. But yeah, so there's things like that that we can try to dive into as cappers, just finding the value. And like you said, this show is a progression of what we've done as cappers and how we become as cappers. We want to transfer the knowledge that we've gained onto the viewers here, and also learn from the viewers. I mean, you have more eyes set on a positive community like this. Everyone's sharing all the stuff that they know, the knowledge that's exactly what this show is about, and that's why I vibe with you guys, because you guys are such positive community, positive guys in the capping community, especially with the spaces and stuff. But yeah, with that, let's dive into a few things here. Talk about the game sevens. yesterday, obviously, your boys, the Celtics, got it done. Finesse. One big
Yes,
thing, one big thing is Giannis. You know, he definitely carried the Bucks in the series. Do you guys think? What do you guys think about Middleton? You know, obviously he was out for the whole series. Would he have made a difference in this? Chris, let's start with you.
I think absolutely, Ronald. I think so, man. We're talking about all-star type player, unavailable for his team when they needed him the most. And I know it had to be hard for him to sit on the sidelines and watch the series go that way. Specifically, you just take a game like yesterday, Game 7, Ronald.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in those high level situations before. And I think the Bucks end up shooting 4 for 33 from 3-point range. Man, he probably probably killed them to watch Pat Connaughton and some of the other players, Wesley Matthews of the world, soak up his minutes. So I definitely think it would have been different, Ronald. To tell you exactly how the series would have went, I probably would have to cap it with him being a part of it. But it definitely would have been a lot different. Especially we saw Giannis average 35, 15, and 7, I think, throughout the series. It was his line. And that's what I predicted. Me and Finesse, we kind of talked about it in Twitter space, and I predicted that Giannis would go off because he wouldn't go down like passive Kevin Durant that we saw in the previous round.
Yeah.
You would have to take his head off, and that's what we saw. We saw him run out of gas, towards the end of the series. But tip your cap to Giannis, man. He definitely laid it all on the line. Without Middleton, the series went the way that I thought it would. The Bucks having a better player, Ronald, but the Celtics being a better team, and I think that's what helped them prevail. So
Definitely. Yeah. Finesse, what are your thoughts on this one? I know you're that Celtics guy, so but we want to talk a little bit about the Bucks here. What's going on? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I don't think we can necessarily fully grasp what we witnessed, but I think as time goes by, just an amazing night of games. I know it was blowouts, but the statement made by the Celtics and by both teams were absolutely amazing. And yeah, just in terms of Middleton, I think it was grossly understated. As soon as the Bucks started seeing some success, a lot of people um, were talking about how Middleton wasn't needed, and
Mhm.
we don't need him for our game plan and offensively and defensively. Like I think that's a very irresponsible statement. Yes, of course they're going to find some success. They have the best player in the league. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to
Mhm.
find some success. Drew's going to get hot. You're going to get some outside shooting every now and then to win some games. But like
Mhm.
Chris said, just the experience. When Chris read the numbers, right? 35, 15 and 7, and they still had a hard time averaging 100 for that series. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So huge load on Giannis's back. A lot of the time, just from the eye test, Giannis is obviously looking to get ahead of steam, put his head down and drive. And when that
Yeah.
play breaks down, there's nobody to really look to consistently. And Chris Middleton is that guy. Um, just the ability to create his own shot, create space, consistently make shots is highly important, especially in the playoffs. So definitely missed him in the series. Was a great series either way. But yeah, obviously he's missed, right? You try not to be Monday morning quarterback, but obviously he's missed in that series.
Yeah, for sure. I think I mean, we always talk about this in the playoffs about depth, defense, and coaching. I think the biggest factor in that series was the depth. The bench didn't play strongly for the Bucks. They didn't. The role players didn't do their job. I mean, they had a role and it didn't get done. Middleton would have took a lot of pressure off of Giannis, obviously, especially and give him rest. I mean, there's points where he needed some rest going into that fourth quarter, but he just couldn't do it. There was no one there to step up in his place, even if it was for just 2 or 3 minutes. So yeah, that was definitely tough. I think Middleton definitely would have made an impact there. I don't know if they would have won the series still, because the depth of the Celtics was just looked like it was way too much, but definitely would have made an impact. Now, I mean, like the Suns here. I mean, we seen what happened yesterday. It was just straight embarrassing for a number one seed here to lose in that kind of fashion in a closeout game, a game 7. We're gonna see Booker come back. We're gonna see Chris Paul is gonna be coming back. He said, um, and I think they had a contract extension for Bridges, but I think they don't have one for Aiton. So what do you guys think about this? What's the Suns' future looking like? Finesse, we'll start with you.
Yeah, like you said, CP3 is coming back. Obviously, D-Book's going to be there. Miles Bridges can't let that man walk anywhere. It's just tough, and this is the same thing I said about the first game. I think we're going to look back and realize how crazy what we witnessed last night really was. Just an absolute demolition, like you said, a number one seed, the best record in the league, record-breaking team throughout the end of the year. So, just absolutely abysmal performance. I don't even really know entirely what I saw. You know what I'm saying? I was just kind of sitting there, kind of amazed, right, at the level of defense being played, the amount of missed shots, obviously, and yeah, if I'm a GM, and me and Chris were talking about it earlier, there's going to be teams that are going to offer him the max. That's obvious. But if I'm a GM, I'm not giving that man a max. Nowhere close to that. He plays soft. He's unreliable consistently. A team like Dallas that has no center. We talked about this before the series. This should have been an 8-in series, and I would just kind of waiting game by game for him to have one of those games, one of those 30-15 games or something like that. But just an absolute no-show. So that man cannot get the max from me. The max indicates to me that you can carry a team, that you can at least get your own shot consistently and be the leader of a team. And that's not what 8-in is. So I think it's going to be very interesting. I think there's a lot of overreaction based on what we saw yesterday, a lot of things being said about CP3 and his career. And I think that's purely what it is, overreaction. That guy is still a top 5 point guard in the league. You can debate where he is all the time, but with that team coming back after what just happened to them, that's a dangerous team in my eyes moving forward. So I think they make some adjustments. Obviously, Monty Williams, coach of the year, they can stew in that for the summer, let that hurt in their hearts and in their fucking souls, and I think that'll make them better in the long run. So I try not to overreact to stuff like that. It's hard not to, when you just witness that, but I think they're going to come back, and show who they are, and we'll see what happens next year. But I'm not paying 8-in, so 8-in might not be there, or if they can work something out, great, but I'm not paying that man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think, Chris?
Man, I think Finesse made a lot of good points, Ronald. I think to play devil's advocate on the 8-in side of things, I also felt like he underperformed. I felt like Chris Paul underperformed as well. I felt like Dallas were a better coach team. And that's weird because Monty just won, coach of the year. Shout out to Jason Kidd, man. And just, his ability to be able to get his guys to buy in and believe that they can win, like that's another series where they're down 0-2, and another series, a series where they were down 0-2 and they come back and, win the series. And, listening to the post-game interview, well, not even the post-game, but they were in the locker room. He was talking about how, nobody ever believes in Dallas. And he made the comment that both of the wins that they've had so far, Ronald, have been, on the road. So, not only do teams not believe in them or, players or, just fans in general not believe in them, but they don't believe that they can win on the road. And they keep finishing these series off on the road. So, to me, just astonishing, man. I was blown away by Ronald. Like Finesse said, it's really hard to process. But to play devil's advocate, I think if you're a Western Conference GM, you got to look at picking up 8-in, right? Just because not only will it probably make your team, just a tad bit better, but it weakens Phoenix, right? We let's not, the recency bias is going to be there. I think they fell flat on their face. They broke a lot of records throughout the regular season. For home wins, I think for road wins, most wins in franchise history. But they with that team constructed the way that they are, they would be right back, in the Western Conference. I think we do see some progression from some of the teams in the Western Conference, Ronald, but I think the Suns are definitely, will be there, and be back as well. The one thing that scares me just a little bit, Ronald, is this is 2 heartbreaking seasons for the Suns in a row now, right? Like being up 2-0 last year on the Bucks before going down in the fashion that they went down in, losing 4 in a row, like that has to be hard to swallow. So I thought we saw a motivated Suns team throughout the season. So for them to fall on their face like this some will argue that's even worse, right? It's even worse than how they finished the season off last year. So I don't know. I don't want to get too long winded, but yeah, I think the Suns will be back. They have the complementary pieces. Monty Williams is definitely a tremendous coach, top 5, top 1 if he won the award, of course. So they'll be back. They'll definitely be back.
Yeah, I definitely agree they'll be back in the playoffs next season. I think just having CP, Bridges, and Booker as their 3 core guys coming back already, it's almost a given. I think they could. Obviously they could replace Ayton. He didn't show enough to be a person that could be irreplaceable or even be a sort of a guy that they need to absolutely bring back if they had to.
Like
If
an
they had
X
a
factor,
choice.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
they could bring. There's a whole bunch of guys that could be in his place that could do what he did and probably even be a better role player than what he was in the playoffs. So yeah, I could definitely see them coming back. But obviously we're gonna see the next couple of series. We'll talk about that towards the end of the show here. Let's talk about some baseball. We're gonna look into some betting spots here for the New York Yankees and the Baltimore Orioles here. I know you guys have a few looks, different angles on this game. Chris, let's start with you on this one. New York Yankees, Baltimore Orioles. What you got?
Yeah, Ronald. So first and foremost, I want to tell people that baseball isn't something that I cap all the time. I do, from time to time. I'm still relatively new to the baseball betting market. I do watch it though, Ronald. I'm a fan. I know baseball. And in this game specifically, I also want to preface in this as well, Ronald. I haven't actually placed money on this, so it's just a strong lean for me. But going to that Baltimore and the Orioles Yankee game, Ronald, I was looking at Baltimore, right? Their team total is sitting at 2.5, and I think it's a tad bit contrarian because they just played Detroit over the weekend and they absolutely stunk it up, right? They barely got the 3 runs all together, over the course of 3 whole games. But you get them coming back home. You get them, against Servino, I think is how you pronounce his name, right?
Severino.
Yeah. So you get him. He's faced Baltimore once earlier this year in April, and he gave up 3 hits and 4 runs in 6 innings pitch. He also there. So what I was looking at the team total for Baltimore. Ronald, it's sitting at 2.5. I saw it at -135 on BetMGM. Shout out to OddsJam because I'm affiliated to OddsJam. The rest of the lines had it at about 145, 146, Ronald, and Pinnacle, the sharpest sports book in the world, had it at 146. So the sports books are implying that they do like this, and they expect the Baltimore to be able to come home and to be able to score a couple runs today. So yeah, I'm looking at that team total. Like I said, I got it at -135. I haven't locked it in yet. But yeah, that's what I was looking at. Also, strong lean as well, Ronald, to just the over for the whole game. I saw it sitting at 7.5, and then I saw it go up to 8. But you can still get the team total at a 7.5 at -115 on FanDuel versus a lot of other books had it at -125, -130 already. I do think that the Yankees haven't been able to play against Bradish yet. This is his first time.
Okay.
This is their first time playing against him, and I think that typically favors the pitcher. But I was looking at the Yankees team total at 4.5, Baltimore at 2.5, and I was like, man, I really like both of them. So strong lean as well towards the over 7.5, Ronald. The Yankees are 5-1 to the over in their last 6 games, including 4-0 to the over against the last 4 right-handed pitchers. The Yankees are also 6 in runs in the MLB, 11 in runs and scoring just over away on the road, not at Yankee Stadium. So, 2 real strong leans for me would be the Baltimore team total over 2.5, which I think is a slight bit contrarian, and then the over for the full game over 7.5, because I think the Yankees bats stay hot as well, and I think they could go over there 4.5.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at this here overall for these teams here, Orioles averaging 3.26, Yankees averaging nearly 5 runs per game. So definitely look towards those team totals over look pretty solid. And then you also see that the Orioles do bat a little bit better than they do versus righties and lefties. And same thing here for the Yankees. Obviously, you want to look at run support is pretty solid, and also pitching. So we look at Severino and Bradish here, Bradish or whatever. Their ERA at 4, averaging just around 5 for Severino in the innings pitched per start, and then over 5.5 for Bradish. So I could definitely see the over hitting for both team totals. The thing here too, if you just look at the over under, everything's pointing towards the under, but you got to make sure that you understand where the totals were at for these games. If they were at like a 9, 8.5, then obviously they could have just had 8 or 7. So you can't just take these records at surface level. You always want to make sure you go into a deeper look as far as like what was the totals for those games. So that's one thing. Just don't take these records, these OU records, these win-loss records at surface level, especially in baseball, because there's a huge gap, a huge difference in that. So that's just one thing that I wanted to add off of Chris and Finesse. I know you got to look at this one too. What were you thinking on this one?
Yeah, great looks, and as modest as Chris wants to be with himself all the time, he's putting that same work in. You know what I'm saying? So he Cordelino, he was, it's great looks, right? And the research backs it. So, so I actually like the Nerfy in this game. I know people's minds are automatically going to jump to, it's the Yankees and who they have at the top of their lineup. So yeah, and I'm a firm believer of that. I try to stay away from, no matter really how they're doing, right? Even if they're struggling in the first, and I try to stay away from those explosive lineups because one swing of the bat can obviously ruin Nerfy. So, like Chris said, we have Severino on the mound. He's 5-1 to the Nerfy this year, only allowing 5 base runners, striking out 8. So that's pretty good performance throughout 6 appearances in the first inning so far. His advanced pitching metrics like average exit velocity, expected slugging, and K percentage show that Severino induces a ton of weak contact, which is what we look for. He misses his fair share of bats, which, like I said, should lead to less extra base hits and less base runners. Extra base hits, obviously, Nerfy killers. We're not looking for the ball to be hit very hard at all. So on the other side, we have Bradish. He's 3-0 to the Nerfy this year. Only 3 base runners allowed. So another guy performing extremely well in the first inning. In terms of the Yankee side, they're at a 62% Nerfy hit rate this year, which is really good for a Nerfy. That's for the whole year. They've actually only scored in the first in 3 of their last 15 games, and have only allowed a run in 5 of their last 31 games. So great looks there. On the Baltimore side, they're at 75% Nerfy hit rate this year, which is absolutely astonishing. The 29th in first inning scoring at home, which is obviously absolutely abysmal. They've only scored in the first 3 times all season, and have only allowed a first inning run in 7 of their 35 games so far this year. So obviously explosiveness at the top of the Yankee lineup, starting with LeMahieu, Rizzo, and Judge. I trust Bradish, like Chris said. This Yankee lineup has not seen Bradish. He throws a wicked fastball, so I'm trusting him to get us to 3 outs, and then I trust myself to get 3 outs against Baltimore in the first inning. So I'm gonna trust Severino to do that part for us too. So I believe it was sitting at -135, so pretty decent value for Nerfy. So love that play. I'm official on that. Love that play. That's what I got.
All right, Nerfy on that one. I don't have a look on that game specifically, but someone mentioned what run line I like today. I do like the Rockies run line. I know they're at home. Senzatella is pitching today, but he's been solid at home through the years. I think he's like 36-17 straight up in that role at home. And then as far as the run line when they're a dog, I believe he's 22-9 in that spot as well. The Rockies are when he's the starting pitcher at home. So that's definitely one of the run line looks that I was probably gonna put my money on today. So that Euphoria, that's the run line that I want to add. I was trying to bring it up on one of the websites, but for some reason it's down right now. So that's why I'm not sharing the screen. But I do have another option here. I was looking at props for this here. I'm gonna bring up Edghouse. So one of the player props that I was looking at here was John Gray on the strikeouts under 4.5. He hasn't hit this in all 4 starts so far this season. The one thing to mention though is he did hit exactly 4 strikeouts in three of the 4 games. So that's the reason why I'm kind of I want to look a little bit deeper into it. But John Gray here is towards the under 4.5 strikeouts is probably one of the looks. Senzatella is to me is surprising to see that he's 5-1 to the under on strikeouts, because last year he went over this at a pretty high rate. So I'd probably want to wait until I see a few games here where he can reach over 3. He's 3 strikeouts before I could start to go the other way and take the overs on those. Same thing here with Peralta. 7.5 looks pretty high here against the team that they're facing. So those are the top 3 here in Edghouse as far as unders in the K strikeouts. But I do like this John Gray look here. I think he does go under 4.5 again, and if he does, we'll probably see a lower number in his next start.
Yeah, he's going to get rocked today, so I don't expect him to even get to 5-6 innings.
Yeah, so yeah, especially when you mention that, obviously if you don't think he's going to last 5 innings, obviously those are the games that you like to see under in the K prop. So yeah, definitely John Gray is probably one of the best looks for me as far as player props in baseball. And anyone in the chat, you guys have a game that you're looking at? Halo Smoke'em, yeah. Why don't we just dive into that game and see if we can cap that live as far as from a side or total perspective. So I'll just bring this game up here on spodevs.com and see what we could take a look at this from a surface level. We have the Astros and the Red Sox at a glance. Astros 14 sorry, wrong game. Rangers, where are they at? There you go, Rangers. Rangers. Angels 12-6 on the road. Rangers 7-12 at home. We got Syndergaard and Gray here. Obviously, Syndergaard, one of the top pitchers in the league right now. And you can see that he lasts pretty long in his starts. And John Gray with just a 4 average inning pitched in his starts. So when you talked about him not lasting long and kind of getting smoked early, that's probably what we're going to be seeing here. There's you could see here John Gray looking towards the over here as well. 3-1 to the over in his 4 starts. They are playing at night, and these are some of the numbers that we see. John Gray at night, 7.5 ERA, 1-2 straight up. So definitely a look towards the Halos here. It looks like a dominating position for them, like Paul Boo mentioned. If we go further into it, here we're looking at run support through the season, nearly 5 runs per game, close to 4 for the Rangers. You can see how they're hitting righties. Angels do a little bit better there. Home and away splits. Against righties, the Rangers at home struggling. This is definitely a good look here. And then also, if we're looking at first 5 versus full game, we can see the bullpen is struggling here for the Rangers as well at home. Just based off of those surface level numbers, what are you guys thinking? It looks like a smash spot for the Angels.
Yeah, this is a game that I was heavy on earlier. Probably going to be another one of my top looks. Yeah, like you said, on the surface level, just a lot of things point towards the Angels. I think John Gray is going to get absolutely hammered this year. Noah Syndergaard has been an interesting pitcher for me. I've listened to him speak a bunch this year, and coming off some injuries and things like that, he's still trying to find his groove. So he's a hard thrower. He's a flamethrower, obviously from we know that from his time with the Mets. And he talked a lot about being so excited to get back into the rhythm, start reaching them triple digits on his fastball. Really starting to miss bats like he did early in his career, and now we're seeing that. So, like you said, he got a little bit deeper in the games. 2 out of the last three games, he struck out 6 or more. So yeah, I think like you said, you mentioned how they performed against righties, which I absolutely loved. Angels are starting to swing the bat more. They're better, not more, better. Lineup should be fully intact. I don't expect Trout to sit out today. So that 1-2 punch in that middle of that lineup is probably the best in the league, probably without question, the best in the league. So yeah, I expect Noah to be able to go 6 pretty clean innings at least. I don't like first fives. I just feel like I'm cursed with first fives, but there's a lot of value in first fives. I normally target first fives when there's issues with the bullpen. If I'm not trusting the bullpen at all, I trust the bullpens equally as less. I don't know how to put that smartly. I don't trust either of these bullpens, so I expect.
Yeah.
So I just like full game. You don't have to pay a ridiculous price. The money line sitting at -140. I absolutely love that number. So I'll definitely be attacking the Angels, whether it's first five or full game. Love that look. And I don't really like the slate today. I think it's a terrible slate. So I'm trying to pick my spots carefully, but that's like you said, definitely a smash spot for me.
Yeah, I mean, like just looking at this and straight off, based off of the starting pitchers as well, I think first 5 run line minus a half looks like a nice spot there, especially at the line that we have it now. Chris, anything to add on this one?
Only the team total, Ronald. I was talking to Finesse earlier, and I was telling them, a lot of my cap and Ronald will be with team totals. So I'm not necessarily, relying on the team to win, and I don't have to worry about a backdoor cover, right? I just need the team to get to a total amount of runs. So I'm looking at, as you guys are seeing it, I'm looking at it too, Ronald, and I see it at 4. I only check one book at like -128, which implies that the books probably think that the Angels do get the 4 runs a day. And I'm looking at Gray, and he's allowed those 4 runs. He's actually 3-1 to the over, in his 4 starts throughout the series. So I would be looking at that 4, just a lean for me right now, Ronald. But yeah, I think like you guys said, the Angels are in an absolute smash spot. We don't trust the bullpen for for the Rangers either, so it could be even more runs. After Syndergaard after Gray gets pulled, but yeah, I would be looking at over those 4 runs and see if I could find it potentially at a better price than the -128.
Yeah, Chris, I would look at that first 5 team total too. Should be probably sitting. Maybe if you can find a 1.5 somewhere, I think that's a blessing. You know what I'm saying? I think you smashed that too. So, another great look.
Dope. Yeah, so that's going to be the MLB today, and then we're going to dive back into the NBA. But just to recap the MLB, Chris, you like the team total overs, and the full game over on the Yankees and Orioles. Is that right, or is it just the team totals?
Yeah, but they were all just leans for me, Ron. If I had to pick one, I'd probably go contrarian and take the Baltimore over 2.5. But I do think the Yankees bats, like I said, they've been hot too, man. So I do see a world where they kind of continue, to keep it rolling and get over there 4.5 as well. But official for me, if I the strongest lean, I'll say, would be the Baltimore contrarian over 2.5, -135. I got that on BetMGM.
All right, and then Finesse, you got the Nerfy on that game. You had a solid look there. And then on the prop side, I had John Gray under 4.5 Ks for the Rangers, and then the Rockies run line +1.5. I think you can get it at -10, 115 or -110. I saw that earlier this morning. That's where I grabbed it at. But maybe it moved. I'm not 100% sure.
Run line? You get -110?
Yeah, on a +1.5. Yeah. Are you seeing something different?
No, I just can't believe that. You gotta make me for that now.
Yeah, so that was the +1.5 for the Rockies there, and then on the last game, the game that we pretty much just capped live, we're looking at the Angels in all different areas, team totals, money line, first 5, run line, in all ways for the Angels, and so that's the MLB, and I want to go back to the NBA real quick, and I want to touch on some SDQL stuff here, actually, before we dive into those series separately. So I want to talk about, obviously we talked about the 2 games that went to 2 series that went to Game 7, and we're gonna be going. They're gonna be going against teams that didn't go to Game 7, right? So we're getting some extra rest for one of these teams here. So what I wanted to bring up was in the playoffs, how did a team that went to Game 7 in the previous series do against teams that didn't go games to 7 games in the previous series. So obviously you're seeing extra rest coming out for these teams to the teams not having gone 7 games. Straight up 16-30 against the spread, 17-27-2. So we have value here on the team with the extra rest going into the new series. That's what we're seeing here. That's active on the Warriors and the Heat game 1. And obviously both of these teams, Mavericks, Celtics, coming off game 7, physical games. They're obviously you could see I feel like on the Maverick side you could see a little bit more. You probably saw less. Sorry, you saw less of these players being tired in game 7 because of how the game went. As far as the Celtics, you still saw some of the starters in that game late into the fourth quarter. Fatigue and all that stuff coming into this one. Not as much rest versus a lot of rest, and rest is one of the big factors in capping during the regular season as well. But those are 2 game 1 looks here. Warriors and Heat. What are you guys' thoughts going into this one? Let's focus on one series at a time for at least for now. Let's do the Eastern Conference right here. Celtics and Heat. Finesse, what are you thinking?
Yeah, that's the first place my mind went to. As soon as we won that game, obviously we get 1 day of rest, and then we turn around and play another group of dogs. So, me and Chris were talking about this as soon as the game ended. We saw what the line opened at. I'm looking at -1.5 for the Heat right now. I actually do think Miami takes game 1. I can't see any other way besides the under. I know it's low, sitting at 204. Yes, I'm a Boston fan, but just kind of using my brain. It's going to be tough, coming off an emotional game. It's emotional either way. I know it was a blowout, but that's emotional either way. Playing the game 7 against the best player in the league, backs against the wall, just really stressful and really taxing. So Miami's been kind of sitting in the wings and waiting. Again, in Miami, I know, again, not a lot of regular season stuff matters, but Miami's defense did get slightly worse at home this year. I forget if that was for a period of time or for the whole year. So excuse me on that, but yeah, I'm expecting some kickback. I'm expecting Boston to have to kind of pay the piper a little bit in terms of having to play a very physical 7-game series. And I expect to see that in game 1. I do like Boston for the series. I think Boston takes a series in 6. I think this is an easier matchup for us than Milwaukee was, just in terms of length, just pure length, which gave us some problems in that series. But I like Miami game 1, can only lean towards the under, and I like Boston in 6 for the series.
Oh, okay. Boston in 6.
Yes, sir.
Chris, what are you thinking on this one?
Man, so Ronald, so first of all, the way you're able to use that SDLQ website to find these stats is crazy. That stuff is next level, man. I had no idea that you could even look up a stat like that. But that, that's very informative, Ronald. And just to be clear, Ronald, that was the team that was to the team that didn't have the rest advantage, right? That was the team that did go to game 7. That was 17-27 ATS.
Yeah, let me bring that back up one second.
It was like 17-30. Yeah, the team with rest.
It was. I think it was ATS. I saw 17-27.
All right, so let's go back to this. All right, so so 17-27-2 against the spread to the team that didn't go 7 games. So we're looking at the Warriors and Heat to cover. If we're going based off of this, those would be the leans here, because they didn't go game 7, right? They didn't go 7 games, so that would be the look here. What I actually brought up right before this was, obviously this goes back a long ways, right? We're going back all the way to 2003, so obviously the game has progressed since then. What I want to do is look at modern basketball, and when I say modern basketball, I just say, let's just say the last 3 years, right? Because if you think about that, is the fact that the 3-point shooting has progressed, and also the reffing has changed since back then. So I just want to look at the last few years here, and it's still a really strong percentage here. It doesn't happen as often. Obviously, the sample size is a lot smaller, but it's still looking towards the same way, the Warriors and the Heat here. And if we look into the first quarter, the team that's coming in off of the game 7, they actually do well here in the first quarter here. There's a 3.2 point split right there. And then the rest of the way, I think the fatigue starts to set in a lot quicker, and you see the opponent with the much longer rest take advantage of the rest of the way. So that's one thing that you can kind of see when you dive into this data here. But yeah, go ahead, Chris. You can keep going. Oh, I think you're on mute. Hold on.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I was just saying, Ron. That's even more intriguing, man. That makes me think, want to take Boston first quarter, even though Miami is typically a pretty good, a solid first quarter team, especially at home. But yeah, I'm with Finesse. I think that Boston has the more depth, which is weird because Miami, has a lot of depth. So I'm taking them to win the series. I think specifically in just a game one, it's a fill out game, Ron. So it's really hard to to determine who you think you like. I went back and did some early capping last night, and just kind of looking at the splits. You can't really get a lot, right? Because throughout the series, they had Cal and then they didn't have Cal. I'm talking about Kyle Lowry. At other times, Jimmy Butler didn't play in one of the games, so it's really hard to kind of cap those games. Also, everything before the New Year's for Boston is kind of questionable, right? Because they're not the same team. So I know they played them, I think, in November, even though they won that game. I think they won that game by like 23. I think it was 95-78, something like that. But yeah, so for me in this one, it's really hard for me to pick a side. I want to take the points with Boston, though. I think Boston could come in and still win early. I also think that Miami's probably extremely motivated, knowing that they're the underdogs. I think I saw them listed around at a minus 140. No, yeah, minus 145. I think is what Boston was favored as in this series, which is that's probably a tad bit disrespectful for them, given that they were they're the 1 seed. I think they've been feeling disrespected throughout the whole series. But I think, specifically we got the injury news earlier. I don't know if you guys saw that, but Kyle Lowry is unlikely to play tomorrow. And I don't see enough offense, Ronald. I think that Miami can do, I think that Boston could do the same thing that they did with Milwaukee. They could do the same thing they could do with Miami, right? You got a one-headed monster that's Jimmy Butler and a bunch of good defenders on Boston. A bunch of good defenders on Miami as well, but I think Miami has more offense, right? Two, extremely competitive teams. I would lean towards the under, like Finesse said, in that one, because I just can't see it going over, right? Go ahead. What'd you say, Finesse?
You think Boston has more offense, right? You
Boston
said Miami.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I think Boston has more offense. Yes, I think Boston has more offense. I think Miami has more role players, but Boston also has those role players and more elite level talent too as well, right? So Robert Williams getting healed up. I think it was good that he didn't have to play yesterday. And for me, I just feel like, why Miami is such a complete team, Ronald, I just feel like I've been seeing, a lot of resilience from Boston, right? Their ability to be able to lose game 5 in the way that they did and have to buckle in and go travel to Milwaukee for a potential closeout game, Ronald, to me, that's an extreme level of resilience and camaraderie. So, shout out to Udoka for having his boys ready. And then for, having to know Giannis was coming in there and giving it everything that he had yesterday in game 7, and for them to still be able to pull that win off the way that they did, Ronald. I think when me and Finesse talk about it all the time, when Boston wins, they win by margin. So I would only look to take that 1.5 points tomorrow. I haven't placed it yet, but, I really want to go and take that 1.5. I think they could potentially still gain 1, and then from there we just kind of see what's going on. So just a strong lean for me right now. Two really great coaches in this one too, Ronald. But yeah, that's where I stand right now, Ronald.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, obviously these numbers, stats, and all that stuff, you could always take that from the surface level. But when it comes to a time like this in the playoffs, when the books are so sharp, you really have to also add the visual aspect of it, right? You can't just rely on the stats, because at this point, when there's only 2 games in the playoffs, or two series left in the playoffs, you can find support on both sides, regardless of what angle you're looking at. So it comes to a different point where you got to take the visual aspect of it. The other part is I do think there is a coaching advantage towards the Miami Heat, just based off of experience and all that stuff. I know Boston from a superstar level, right? You got Tatum and Brown. versus superstar and Jimmy Butler, in my opinion, in Miami. So 2-on-1. But at the same time, I feel like the role players are more adjusted to their role in Miami than they are in Boston at this point. I think Grant Williams has made a case for him to continue playing the way. I mean, to continue um, deserving the amount of minutes that he's been playing. I just don't know if his style of play matches well with Miami's players. Right, the way Miami plays defense is a lot different than the way Bucks do. Right, there's a lot more holes on the Bucks defense than in Miami. That's my only thing here. I don't have a play on it yet. I haven't done a super deep dive on the series either, but I do think Miami is a lot deeper. Their defense is a lot better, and the coaching is a lot more experienced than the Bucks. So I'm not seeing the same series here. It's gonna be a lot tougher, I think, for the Bucks, for the Celtics here. But another thing too is I've been pretty high on Miami as well throughout since the beginning of the season. So that's one thing to note here. I don't want to be like, biased here, but that's just one thing to note there. But then yeah, so to me, I still do like the Heat here to take game one, in my opinion, at the very least, just based off of the rest factor, just the emotional and fatigue on the Celtics side. So that's my take on game one. Next up. For the series, I don't have a play on the series. Game one, though. Game one. I take it game by game. I take it game by game. But yeah, so next up, we got the Warriors and the Mavericks. Obviously, Mavericks, man, they showed up yesterday. I thought the Suns were going to win the series from the beginning. They proved me wrong. Game by game, you could kind of see the momentum shift towards Dallas. And by game 6, I was like, damn, Mavericks, if they get to game 7, Mavericks probably take it. And they took game 6. And that's exactly what happened. They took the momentum away from in the series and got it done. But to me, it was a surprise, but to some, probably not. But what is your thoughts, Chris? I'll start with you.
Oh man, yeah. So I think this will be a tough one, Ronald. We also can't look back at data for this one either, because when you look at the Golden State side of things, they didn't have, the depth lineup with Jordan Poole, and I think Clay played in a couple of those games, but they didn't have everybody, when they were playing. So you can't look back at the regular season and say, well, Dallas owned them, because they did. Dallas went to Golden State, and I know they got a win. I think they finished the season series 3-1. I want to say they won the season series 3-1. I expect a lot of unders. That's what I'll say, Ronald. I think Dallas' ability to be able to play defense, Golden State's ability to be able to play defense when they're locked in, would lead me to think that a lot of unders are going to hit in this Ronald. That's the way I would look. I think Golden State definitely has more offense, but Phoenix had more offense than Dallas did too, and Dallas was able to just play enough defense and kind of slow Phoenix down a lot. I do think that having Steph and having Draymond, they're definitely the more experienced team. Just a few weeks ago, we were talking about Dallas not being able to get out the first round, right? And they crossed that, and now they're on their way to trying to get to the finals. And I think they're still being slept on just a tad bit, Ronald, by myself included. So I want to give Dallas a lot of credit. Luka is absolutely amazing. This guy was just seeking people out yesterday, finding a matchup that he wanted and dominating in every fashion. He takes a lot of pride in his craft. And I think those guys really believe in themselves, Ronald, more than, other people believe in them. And that's what you need. You need your teammates and your coaches to believe in you. You need your fan base to believe in you. And I think that they really feel like they could win the championship, man. So I think it's going to be a hard fought series, Ronald. I haven't capped it enough to say who I think is going to win. I do think that the Dallas Mavericks are live dogs, though. And I think it's going to be really, really difficult. I'm interested to see how Steve Kerr, who just cleared health and safety protocol, I'm interested to see how he adjusts to guarding Luka, right? Like, who does he put on Luka? Is it going to be Wiggins? Is it going to be Clay? And then on the defensive end, how will Dallas match up with all those shooters too? So really, really intriguing series, Ronald. I haven't capped it enough to even give out a lean. to for anything in the game on Wednesday yet. But I would be looking towards an under because I think Dallas defense probably travels to Golden State pretty well.
Yeah, yeah, those are nice points there. Finesse, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I just saw George say he's not sold on a Celtics. Like, what more do you need, George? What more do you need? Anyways, yeah, I mean it's really tough for me. Obviously, I didn't pick the Mavericks to win the last series either. I think they shocked a lot of people. I think the team is playing so fucking well right now, especially on the defensive end.
Yeah.
Um, like Chris said, I don't have a lean for game one at all. I still have to, dig deep into the game. Just in terms of series outlook, I feel like I have no other choice than to give the advantage to Golden State here. Just based on experience, I think they match up better than the Suns do with them, just in terms of consistently being able to score, shoot from the outside. Um, you know, Mikal Bridges out there. I mean, he's defensive player of the year candidate, all of that stuff, but that guy cannot put the ball in the fucking basket, and you don't really see that with Golden State other than Draymond. So it'd be interesting to see what lineup they trot out. It's going to be easy to play the def lineup if Jason Kidd goes small. I mean, any lineup he puts out there is really going small. If you count Dwight's more like a 4 to me rather than a 5. He just little. Yeah, the experience just means so much in my mind. I weigh that heavily in my mind and in my capping of the series that I have no choice but to give Golden State the edge. So I think it's going to be a long, grueling series. I'm interested to see what the totals are moving forward. Chris talked about a lot of unders and stuff like that. Yeah, lean right now will be Golden State in 7. I feel like I have no other choice but to say that. So Butler, you still got at least 3 more playmakers. All I'm saying. Okay, George. Yeah, I just feel like I have no other choice but to say that. So Dallas is just so impressive. I don't want to disrespect Dallas at all.
Yep.
It's going to be fascinating. It's going to be fascinating. So that's really all I got.
Yeah,
Hey,
my
Ronald,
only
to Ronald, if I could just rebuttal to that one, just
yeah,
for
go
one
ahead,
second, Finesse. I think you make excellent points, but to the experience, Finesse, experience is what lost both of us money yesterday because we took the more experienced Phoenix Suns, right? And even the Utah Jazz had more experience than the Dallas Mavericks did in the playoffs. We also saw another series in yesterday, where Milwaukee had more experience than your Boston Celtics too, Finesse. So I'm not. I don't think I'm taking that into consideration as much. I think it's more so just Luka and his ability to be able to be extremely special, in the moment, more so than the experience on the other side. And I'm not saying that I'm taking Dallas, but I think to a certain extent we got to make sure we're factoring in that experience and it being minimized just a tad bit based on how special Luka is.
Yeah, and part of experience, is, and we talked about this before. I think Phoenix did a horrible job defending Luka, and in my mind, that's a lot of that is experience as well. I think Kerr, he healthy now. He's gonna be back on the sidelines. I think they're gonna cook. Ain't no stopping that man, but I think they're gonna cook up a better game plan than the monstrosity that Phoenix decided, and they stuck to it pretty much throughout all 7 games. Kind of what they were doing. So I'm attacking that man every time he step an inch past half court. I'm attacking him. I'm trapping him every time he touches the ball. If we lose a 7-game series doing that, I'm much more okay with that than what happened in Phoenix. So I think that's part of the experience as well. And I think you're 100% right. I think we've seen experience not really mean stuff. When you got generational talent, on the other side, like I expect Jason Tatum to be, Luka Doncic to be, that kind of trumps all. In that 48-minute period, that elite talent is what plays ball, not experience. So I think you're 100% right.
Yeah, what I want to add to this too is, the Mavericks. We talked about Luka, and then Dinwiddie just blew up yesterday as well. I think one guy that to watch in this series specifically, I want to look at. I almost said Jameer Nelson. um, uh, now I'm blanking.
Brunson?
Jalen Brunson. Sorry, Jalen Brunson. I think his physicality at the point guard position is going to be able to take over against someone like Curry, who's not as physical, right? because when you see what Jameer Nelson, um, oh my
Brunson,
God, Brunson.
Jalen
When you see
Brunson,
what
yeah.
Jalen Brunson did to Conley in the first series, he scored like 25 plus nearly every game. He has the physicality to be able to do that against Curry. One thing that's missing on the Warriors side is Peyton as a defender at the point guard position, right? You can throw a lot of guys at Luka at this point because you got a lot of wings that could defend. They're not gonna completely stop Luka, but at the same time, uh, Brunson
Brunson.
is gonna have this ability to do what he wasn't able to do against Chris Paul, which is out physical the other point guard. Um,
I don't think they
okay,
leave.
Mitch. Okay, Mitch. I'm not the only guy. All right. So, but
I don't think
but
they
yeah.
leave Curry on JB though. I really don't.
So
I
who?
think
So
they
in
put
that sense,
Curry.
who would? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I think they put
He gonna
Curry
have
on
to
the
guard
big
Reggie
man.
Bullock.
Like
Yeah,
like
Bullock.
yeah,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Bertans when he's on the floor.
Put like
Clay
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 on
gonna have to
Brunson.
Clay gonna have to guard Brunson. Yeah, if so, I mean he's
Yeah.
going like you said, Ronald. He's gonna take him in the
Yes,
paint.
barbecue
Even
chicken.
what you were saying, yeah, even what you were saying, Ronald. He took advantage of Chris Paul a couple times too. I know Chris Paul is a much
Mhm.
bigger, more physical guard, but he
Yeah.
was taking advantage of Chris Paul as well. Like it looked
Yeah.
bad a couple times.
Yeah. Two of the top point guards that could play in the post. To me is Brunson and also Drew Holiday. You could see, dude. Drew Holiday was posting up Horford
Yeah.
and back. You know what I'm saying? Like those are two of the top post point guards that I can think
Oh,
of right now, and I think Brunson can get that done here in this series. So I'm gonna be looking towards his point props over in this series specifically because obviously his numbers didn't look that great in this past series, but it was more of a matchup thing here. So I think Brunson is going to make some noise in this series if they have a chance to win. I think Wiggins guards Luka, George. I think that's probably the best
I
matchup
agree.
there. Yeah,
Yeah, me too, Ron.
and I
and then
think me and Chris spoke about this. I think they try to hide Luka on Wiggins defensively. So Mitch just said it. Mitch just talked about Wiggins uh looking for Wiggins to kind of go off and get his. And
mhm,
I think he's 100% right.
yeah,
Who else is Luka gonna guard on that floor?
yep,
You can't put him on Poole, can't put him on Curry, can't put him on Clay. So I think they try to hide him as best they can on
mhm,
Wiggins. So I look for Wiggins to at least be consistent. If they can give 15 to 17 points per game consistently, which has always been his issue. I think that's
mhm,
going to be big for Golden State.
mhm. Yeah, man, this is going to be a fun series to watch. I know these two teams are have been pretty solid defensively, but I think this is going to be an offensive matchup in this series here versus a defensive matchup in the Eastern Conference. So that's my opinion on this one. I don't know who. I feel like it should be Golden State's series to lose here, in my opinion. Just being able to rely on Curry here. I mean, obviously they're gonna have to shoot the three a lot better here. Both teams shoot the three ball. We're gonna see hella threes in here, and if they go in, we're gonna see some overs, especially early in the series. But game one, I do still think Warriors and Heat for me in game one of both of these series here. But yeah, it's hidden at an hour here. We love talking that NBA. But yeah, here at an hour, I want to cut it short a little bit. But any last words from you guys, Chris? Anything you want to add? Anything you want to promote on your side?
Not much, Ronald. First of all, I just want to thank you, man. I always find it extremely humbling to be able to come on your platform and share, man. I love being able to chop it up with you. I love being able to chop it up with Finesse. And like you said, we could do this for hours. So
Yeah,
just thank
it's
you, man.
crazy.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah, Finesse. Anything you want to add or promote?
Nope, not at all. Just like Chris said, thank you for having me. It's humbling. I was a fan before we knew each other. You know what I'm saying? So, fan of what you did, the work that you put in, and stuff like that. So, I feel privileged to be able to chop it up, pick your brain, and contribute in any tiny way that I can to what you're doing here. So, like I said, I'm gonna continue to be a fan and support everything you do. So, excited to be on here. I'm happy that you have me, and I appreciate you. And that's all I
Yeah,
got.
man. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
it.
Ronald.
Thank you
One
guys.
more thing, Ronald. I'm
Yeah.
a fan too, and I still need my Youcapper cap, Ronald.
Hey,
still
I'm
looking for my
I'm
cap,
working
my
on
brother.
it. The shirts, I think the shirts are gonna come out first, and then the hats are gonna come out right after. But yeah, the merch is coming out. And that's gonna be fun. We're doing some fun designs here. We're working on a collab with J Money and Ski as well. On a shirt. Yo, hey, the concept for that shirt is ridiculous. But yeah, that's gonna be fun. Working on that design right now.
On somebody probably like on the front of the shirt.
Nah. When you see it, it's gonna blow your guys' mind. I trust.
I can't wait,
This
bro.
shit is crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
fire.
looking forward to it.
But so obviously this is towards the end of the show. Chris and Finesse, thank you guys so much for being here. We're gonna make it happen again. Everyone in the chats, you guys blew it up today. A lot of the stats you guys brought up, a lot of the stuff that you guys are just talking about in there, keep staying active, man. It makes us betters. It keeps our conversation going and brings up things to discuss and help you guys out as well. But yeah, so this is basically the end of the show. Once again, thank you guys all for tuning in. Make sure you guys show some love, hit the like and subscribe button. I just want to do a quick plug. I am the $2 Tuesday at Sports Memo tomorrow. It's going to be in the WNBA. You know, I'm blowing up the WNBA right now. So if that's something that you guys want to look into, $2 Tuesday tomorrow, $2 for my top play in the WNBA. But yeah, definitely just keep comments going after the show goes, and leave questions so I can bring stuff up in the next section, next show. Basically, let's just keep this positive stuff going in the sports betting community. It's something that we need right now. Dropping knowledge with how to bet, how to become smarter bettors. SDQL questions in the comments too. We'll just keep dropping those. But as always, I always want to end with this, man. Please remember, whether you fade us or follow us, it's on you to make that call. Good luck on all you guys' action. Till next time, peace.
Make sure you hit that like button.